Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome to this megacast. I'd like to really quickly thank my patron, Timothy Calderwood, and say sorry for any kind of audio issues if it sounds a little bit tinny or kind of underwatery. I don't know what happened. We did have a power outage. I've gone through my microphone and kind of made it better with settings, but it just is different. I think it's a little bit borked. Well, hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. This is 3 games we're going to be casting today from the Map Gen Tourney that was hosted a few weeks ago, and it's going to be pretty dope to look at everything. So yeah, without further ado, let's introduce our players. All of the maps in these games, of course, are using the random map generator, so all of these maps are maps that I don't know if you can play, but the name is right over here. And they're pretty interesting, and so from what I've seen, pretty balanced. So we're gonna call this Team 1 in the top right and Team 2 in the bottom, or top left and Team 2 in the bottom right. Let's go ahead and zoom in on our first player. We have a purple Cybran by the name of Raider. And up here to his north, we have a Cyan Aeon by the name of Big Bang, choosing the best color available. And then further north of him, we have a green UEF by the name of Straight White Male. That's a pretty good name. And he is going first land. I didn't say that for anybody else, so fuck it. We have a red Cybran up here, last for Team 2. His name is Paint Thinner, and he is here to thin some paint, obviously. Let's go ahead and go down to the opposite team. We have already walking out a gray UEF by the name of JakeCo19, and he is just making his way out, expanding, moving towards his opponent. To the south of him, we have a yellow Seraphim by the name of MATRI, and he is a tree, and it is his tree. To his east, we have a white Seraphim by the name of Ryfun, and last but most certainly not least, we have a blue Cybran by the name of ARCHSIMKAT? I'm gonna call him Archie. We have the blue Cybran by the name of Archie. And yeah, that's how we're going to be getting on. We do have a very early bomber out from Ryfun, and it does seem to be getting off a few bombs here. If it can drop one more, it's going to kill off all of this power and a mass extractor. Oh! So painful. So painful. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. And with that, I'm assuming that we're going to be hitting a power stall, unless he's managing to... I guess he could pause everything and kind of live off a little bit of overflow, but that's definitely going to hurt the early game economy of a Paint Thinner. Losing one mass extractor and all of your P-Gens is never a good thing, and that seems to be the extent of the harass, unless you get in here and do some damage. We do have a Mantis trying to run by over here. They do have vision of it. Can they do anything significant about it? We do have a bunch of engineers coming out over here, so we might want to see these engineers be given a different order to run away. You don't want to be losing them. No, don't send them to their graves. Okay, good. We got an order to stop that. They're going to go build factories over here instead. That should be pretty good. One thing that I think is very important about these map gen maps is you generally very early on, and I'm assuming everybody's in voice comms. As you can see, we have the ANZ clan plus 1 from SCR, and then the ZFG clan up here. But generally, if you're going onto a map, most of the time the mass extractors are generally kind of divvied up per each map. Each map has its own kind of meta with it, and certain players get these mexes, other players get the other mexes. With these, you kind of just have to eyeball it, or maybe somebody counts them at the beginning and is like, hey, these 8 are mine, these 8 are yours, one person's getting 7, fuck that guy. And we have another bomber out, also going for Paint Thinner. Paint Thinner is being targeted down by Ryfun's bombers. It does seem like this one has been seen. It's going to get an engineer kill, and it's gonna just get that one engineer kill as interceptors fly over and cause it trouble. Ooh, it might get another bomb off onto other engineers. That is a possibility. But, ooh, 2 engineers for that bomber. And that seems to be all of the action going on the map at the moment. Sorry about the cough. Just got done walking down to the store and it was cold outside and been coughing ever since I've gotten back inside. So, who knows? Maybe I'm sick. Great time to be sick. Right in the middle of a pandemic. Let's see. We do have these mantis. I don't think these mantis are going to get very far into the bases. Yeah, there's too many units. Those mantis from Archie going to be sent to their death. We do have a little bit of an engagement going on down here between some Thoms out from MATRI and his opponent Raider over here pushing him back, but there are a lot of reinforcements here. These units need to start running away before they before what it exactly is happening now happens. Yep, that's some dead mantis and a nice little bit of reclaim. I didn't really check on the reclaim, but it does seem to be like most maps. There's just reclaim scattered about pretty much anywhere there's a cliff. There's just a bunch of tiny rocks that give you some mass. We do have the comm of Archie pushing out with some units against paint thinner. It doesn't seem like it's going to get very much done other than just get some temporary control of this area. And we have T2 Air out from Big Bang. He's going to be getting up some kind of T2 unit. We do have Swifties on the way. And we have a whole bunch of tank spam out from MATRI, and his opponent would actually be Big Bang. So if Big Bang doesn't start supporting this flank, I don't see how Raider is going to be able to easily defend this kind of area. There's going to be a lot of units pouring in behind him, and he doesn't have anything over here to defend. He's building a land factory, but that's not going to help you. So this looks like it's going to be a relatively massive run-by, which could cause major issues, especially if it gets in here, starts killing off some of these T2 mexes. That could be very painful for Big Bang, who is currently producing Mercies, maybe looking for a cheeky snipe over onto Archie, or possibly he's seen the comm of Rifun here in the middle. And as we get back over here to the action happening on the western flank, we can see the units from Raider are trying to push forward, but they're not going to catch these units in time, and they're not exceptionally faster. So these tanks are going to get in. They're going to kill off some mass extractors. Let's see how they target there. We do have both the comms of Raider and Big Bang over here holding off the comm and the spam of Jakeco, and that might be able to be enough to hold off this spam, but they do need to address this issue of all of these yellow units, all of these units out from MATRI, which are going to start causing massive issues. That PD was started woefully too late. We do have some Aurora being pumped out over here, which could help a lot, but ooh, killing off these mass extractors, which this one is just about to be T2. Oh, that's super painful. He didn't even get the extra economy. It was just a complete loss at a 90% T2 max. And that is never a good time. These units are still pushing forward. Most likely going to be able to get some pickups over here in the base of Straight White Male. Straight White Male. That's pretty funny. And then over here we do have some T2 units out. We have some Hoplite rocket bots out from Raider. Those might be able to stem the tide of this T1 spam, but we are going to have more T1 units pouring in here. They might get off some kills onto pigeons or mass extractors, anything like that. Let's go ahead and really quick, let's see. The reclaim is still messed up, but we can look at the mass totals. The two teams are relatively even on that, and as far as energy total, even though it's not quite so important, they're even there as well. Both teams somewhat keeping up with each other, but it does feel like Team 2 down here on the bottom is performing slightly better against their opponents. And now the spam of MATRI and JakeCo19 are meeting up with each other here in the base of Raider, and this could cause a lot of damage. I mean, there are 2 comms here to try and defend this off, and some spam and some T2 units, but as long as you just have your units here and they're killing off structures, it makes it very difficult to stop subsequent waves, especially if you get that T2 HQ, which I believe they just did right here. So that is a huge pickup for Team 2 that's going to make the life of Raider so much harder. He is down to a mere 5 mass a second. Yeah, the rest of that is reclaim related. 5 mass a second for Raider. He is hurting in every sense of the word. He's lost all of his mass extractors now, so he's theoretically on 0 mass a second unless he's getting overflow. Or 1 mass a second, technically. The comm produces 1 mass every second. And this could be a very dangerous situation. This flank kind of collapsing for Team 2. But we have a bunch of Spectre gunships out attacking the comm of Archie. And while we do have some interceptors over here to try and make this better, they also have the assistance of a land push out from Paint Thinner, and Archie's comm is starting to lose health at an alarming rate, already down to 7,000 versus Paint Thinner at over 10,000. There's so many units coming out for Archie though. Paint Thinner now in a relatively dangerous situation as he starts to lose more and more health. Spectre's coming in for another attack run, but the first wave of projectiles missing horribly, and Archie is very close to dying. He's in the red. He is down to 1,700 health. This is very dangerous, but Paint Thinner also losing health at an extraordinary rate. 600, 500, 400, 300. Oh, this is very dangerous. If either of them die, they both die, and here we have the Lover's Caress, the 2 big balls of flame ascending from the sky as we see our first and second ejection at the 11-minute mark, both players being knocked out on this far east flank. And that means that there's a huge group of T1 tank spam, a bunch of strikers, some archers in the mix, and maybe the odd Lobo just pushing down towards the base of Rifun. And that could be very dangerous indeed. After that, we can see the map reach a relatively even state. We do see an attempted run by. Jesus, my throat is killing me right now. By Rifun to try and get some units in, but he's going to be met by a wall of strikers out from Straight White Male, who is also assaulting his main base right now. We're going to see the death of some T2 mexes. It's pretty much inevitable at this point. So the economy of Rifun is going to be looking very similar if we're comparing it to the economy of Raider right now, who has lost everything on this flank, and we have more spam just out from both MATRI and from JakeCo, causing more trouble up here. If you just heard that, that's a drink. I'm not gonna say who, because if I was gonna do that, I need a sponsor. Don't do anything for free. And with that, it seems that the gunships out from Big Bang combined with the comm of Straight White Male have killed off Rifun, leaving Team 2 with only 2 players left. And this is going to be a very, very difficult comeback, but it's not impossible. But then again, Raider has just been defeated by MATRI and his spam over here, so it is a 2v2, but I feel like Team 1 has a little bit of a better handle on the situation. They have the T2 air, they have everything but the spam. I believe that Team 2 has so much more going for them in the spam department. We do have T2 on the field for JakeCo. He's producing Mongeese, something along those lines. And we have the comm of JakeCo over here about to be attacked by some Spectre gunships. I'd be very surprised if this resulted in anything. We do have the occasional T1 mobile anti-air over here, and Jaco himself building some anti-air. Actually, we only have literally one La Issel. I really like the design of the La Issel. I really like the Seraphim bots that are like four-legged. They look very cool. This and the Seraphim artillery, I really like the look of them. And with that going on, we do have a little bit of a push out over here towards Big Bang's territory. I would like to see them target down this mass extractor. If they could get it, that would be a big pickup. We do have some artillery shells flying in. Oh, it's so close. Only 300 health left. Oh, come on. You have Mongoose. Mongoose. You can just throw some shots out and kill that off. It's a sneeze away from death. Oh, are they gonna get it? He's microing it so hard, but I don't know if he's zoomed in enough to notice that this mass extractor is so low, and that's a significant portion of the economy of Big Bang. That mass extractor alone is 6 of his 23 mass a second. Not quite a quarter, maybe a fifth or a sixth, but now the opportunity is gone, as we do see expansion out from MATRI over on the eastern flank and expansion over to this middle eastern area for Straight White Male, having a lot of units coming out over here. And we have seen this entire area taken over by MATRI. He is grabbing up most of the map for his team. His ally Jaco 19, while producing a ton of units, is not quite grabbing up quite the land territory as his ally is. We do have an air factory over here being assisted by a lot of engineers. He may be wanting to take that to T2 or T3 here soon. We do still only have T2 air out from Big Bang, but he could theoretically get up to T2 if he got out and built some T2 P-gens here soon. You have Oblivion point defenses on the way out for Big Bang. He's trying to shore up his defenses right here, just stop this constant barrage of units against him. You have a little bit of a fire base being built over here and a lot of reclaim happening. As far as the total masses, though, both teams are relatively close to each other. Team 2 taking about a 3,000 mass lead against their opponents. But as far as reclaim numbers are going, I'll check on the players who are still alive. We have 5,000 for Straight White Male. Let's see. Big Bang also sitting almost at 6,000. MATRI at 9,500 and climbing quickly. And 6,700, almost 7,000 for Jaco 19. It does seem that Team 2 is looking to secure this area. And when we press Control Shift to see how the mass is going, it does look like there was a mass Control K over here, and that's a nice little mass field for MATRI to build up with his engineers. We have a push coming out from MATRI over here. He's going to be going for this little bit of an expansion out from Big Bang, try and corral him to staying inside his own base. And that is where we're sitting currently. We do have a lot of Mongoose out over here. I would think that if you swapped over to pillar production, you might be able to just push straight up. Neither of your opponents is producing T2 land, as far as I can tell. We do have T2 land done for Straight White Male, so I would assume he's going to start producing that very soon. We do have some gunships out over here. A lot of the engineers have died, and we're going to lose some mass extractors, but there is still one engineer down here. So that is going to be relatively successful little raid. It's going to get some minor damage done, slow down your opponent. And then we have a large buildup of just kind of infrastructure, some defenses, some air defense, some point defense down here on this area. Gun speed and range going on to the comm of MATRI, who is... Where is your comm, my friend? Right over here. He's already finished it. I don't know if that was the... Yep. It took him 98 seconds, almost 100 seconds of his comm using resources. We have a lot of units out here from MATRI. He's starting to push forward into the territory of Straight White Male. Straight White Male is falling back with a comm. It does look like he has the gun upgrade, and he does still, even with that, you don't want to be caught out by this massive group of T1 spam. Zooming out, we can see a lot of T1 bombers being produced out for MATRI. And can we look over here? We still have just Swifties and gunships being made for Big Bang. It does look like they're being targeted onto mass extractors, maybe? Trying to take out those mass extractors. This T2 mass extractor is still sitting on just 280 health. I would love to see something come over here and just blap it to death. It's got no health left. You have T1 bombers just kind of spread out everywhere. A large concentration down here of T1 bombers. And an engineer over here being very brave. Seemingly a lot of things in the sky to kill it, a lot of things on the ground over there to kill it, just doing its patrol route very dutifully. I know I'm focusing on that engineer, but he seems to be in a very precarious situation all alone. And we have a lot of units out from MATRI just pushing into this forward production facility of Straight White Male, and that's going to be causing issues. As we can see over here, Straight White Male is currently building up some support factories, some T2 support factories. He's going to be trying to go for mass tank production, I would assume, or maybe even Mongoose. I feel if you're going to be going this heavy for tank production, or for T2 production, you're going to want Strikers over Mongoose. You want something that you can just throw a lot of them at your opponent. They cost less, they're less micro-intensive, so you can have more of them. Makes life a lot easier. Holy shit, this is intense and it sucks. What are you doing right now? Let's see, anything else interesting happening? No, that's the first time anybody in this game has talked to each other than voice comms. Me and Paint are barking orders. Oh, that's Archie talking to Raider. But these guys are both just so low on APM. Oh, man. It looks like we got left with the players who apparently their team wasn't quite so hot on. It seems like the heavy hitters were taken out relatively quickly. I would love it if, and I know this mod would be fucking impossible, I would love an APM mod, something that tracks the players' APMs live, like in replays and shit. That would be so cool. I know it probably wouldn't work, and it would also probably destroy performance. It'd destroy the performance of that thing. It would destroy the performance, but it'd be very cool. You know, you get to see that in stuff like StarCraft and a lot of other RTS games. We do have the comm of Straight White Male in a little bit of jeopardy over here, though. He is getting attacked by quite a bit. He needs to avoid those artillery shells. This could be an extremely dangerous situation. There's a lot of units over here. Do we have anything coming in to help him? We do not. We have a lot of bombers. They are going to be taken out by some T1 or some Swifties, but this is still a lot of units to deal with. We do have some spam coming in from Big Bang. Straight White Male down to 8,000 hit points and falling. But it looks like it's down to mainly just artillery, which is easily microed. And the units out from MATRI are going to fall back. They may be able to get quite a little bit done against these factories over here, kind of shut down Big Bang on this flank. But as we can see, we still have so much going on over here, and we have a factory right here. Why aren't you reclaiming this factory? Get rid of the factory. Stop it. No. This can't be. No, don't capture it. That's going to take way too long. No. You're destroying yourselves. This This is a problem. Please, don't do this. Oh, man. I love how I have more excitement about the fact that this tank is gonna... Oh, wait, no! The tank gets killed off by the PD. So these two engineers still have a chance to capture it. Are they going to capture it? Is MATRI going to get UEF tech through capture? Even though, honestly, should he? You have to control K this, right? Like, if you know this is being captured, sure, he could get UEF tech from his ally, but wow, you gave him a free factory. Well, kind of free. The engineer has to use energy, I believe, to capture, but that's nothing. That's a free factory. Build things. I wonder if MATRI even knows. Does MATRI know? Is he giving it any orders? No, he doesn't. Can I give it orders? Come on. Give me some mech marines. Get out there. We have a little bit of a counter push. This flank, I haven't looked at it in a relatively long time, but we have a counter push against it out from Big Bang, who has seemingly thrown together a nice little T1 spam army, and we have T3 spam coming out from Big Bang as well. He's starting to produce harbingers. Are there any other harbingers on the field? That looks like the very first one, and that could be very dangerous. Do we have any kind of answer to that over here on the Team 2 side? We do not. We have T2 land out still for Jakeco, who is building parashields and mongoose from the looks of it. What about tech for our yellow Seraphim player? Any of these have any tech level? No, they do not. So no teching up for the yellow player, which is by the name that goes by the name of MATRI. But now we have a whole bunch of tanks pushing over on this eastern flank, where he just went through all the trouble of capturing that factory. And they're going to be able to push in quite deep. There's nothing here to really protect this flank. All of the spam out for MATRI is over on this flank, this middle central area. And honestly, it's going to do him no good. These harbingers are going to take out so many of these that this T1 and T2 spam is just going to roll over all of this. Hell, you could put the harbingers behind the spam and get even more done. And now there's going to be PD being completed right here on the front lines. This is a bad push. Don't take this push. You have enough information already to know that's a bad idea. So many units have been built up over here for Jakeco, and it looks like he's finally deciding to move out with them. I'm not quite sure how much they're going to be able to get done. If they could possibly just focus down the comm of Big Bang, that could make this a much more secured fight for them. They'd only have to deal with the spam coming out from Straight White Male, who is over here just killing off so many structures and buildings that MATRI is expanded to. This is a very dangerous push. It's going to get in here. It's going to start killing off T2 mexes and such. We do have T2 air out from MATRI, which is very good. Also, if I've said MATRI's name wrong this entire time, that's hilarious. Straight White Male, though, gonna be getting over here. We do still have this very large push. The PD have been destroyed, at least the very first line of them, but the second line of PD still here, still strong. We have sniper bots out, some sprite strikers, and some harbingers out, trying to cull this absolute horde, the Mongol invasion from Team 2. We have a bunch of T2 gunships out over here now to try and kill all of this off, trying to snipe off the comm of Big Bang. We have a decent amount of interceptors trying to screen for these gunships, trying to keep these gunships alive, but it's really not going to do much considering the air spam out from Straight White Male and the fact that there's Swifties, which are vastly superior to interceptors. And this looks like the push is going to be petering out now. This land spam didn't quite get far enough to cause any kind of critical damage. And this is going to be very painful. This leaves an absolutely massive mass field for Team 1 to collect. And now that they have T3 land, they can just start slowly pushing out. This could be very dangerous for Team 2. This push could have lost them this match. We'll have to see how the opponents respond to that, though, there's definitely possibilities for Team 1. This push down here on this lower flank was not successful. There seemingly was enough T1 PD to protect it, which is the only good news coming out for Team 2 at the moment, is that they did not lose a whole bunch down here. But losing that push gets rid of so much momentum. They were building up spam for such a long time. It did not quite work out. The quality versus quantity argument was settled right then and there. A huge unit transfer over to Jake Co. And do we have any checking up? Is this factory is going to T3 from Jake Co. They've seen the Harbingers. They have decided they don't like that. They don't have those types of units yet either. So they're going to be getting up some T3 units over there. We also, I wasn't even paying much attention, but I did see this. We have a T2 coming out from MATRI. He has finally given up on the original strategy of I will just build more T1 than they could possibly kill, which valid. But even though a famous dictator once said that quantity has a quality all its own, I guess I should say infamous dictator, not famous dictator. It is not quite so useful whenever your opponents are spamming out more quality units than you can really handle. And the Zooey spam has entered full sentence mode. We have so many factories just constantly producing Zooeys now. Everybody loves Zooeys because they may as well be a T3 unit at this point. See, no, this is how you do the Stalin memes right. You just make Zooeys. They are the T3 unit of T1. All the Zooeys, all the time. You still have a bunch of gunships, a bunch of Volthoos out over here on this flank. They've managed to kind of clean it up from MATRI, who should probably give these engineers a little bit of an order. Say, hey, grab this shit. As far as map control goes, I mean, it still is heavily in favor of Team 2, but as far as tech goes and just in general the capabilities to cause critical damage, it definitely feels like the momentum is in the corner of Team 1. We can go ahead and check on the mass totals, and despite having all of this map control and earlier having more reclaim and everything, 12,000 reclaim, 29,000 reclaim versus 22 and 25, so I guess the reclaim numbers are kind of even, but we have more mass over this game has been accrued by Team 1, and you can't really make the argument that, oh, well, most of that mass was gathered by their two dead players, because their two players have been dead for a long time. Definitely the battle of quality versus quantity, and it's looking like quality is very firmly in control at the moment. They are slowly pushing out and causing issues. We have even tanks just pushing out over here. T2 tanks just mowing through the center of the map. And this far eastern flank, which is just now being rebuilt once again by MATRI. Pings all over the map from every team. And these sniper bots are just going to slowly pick off unit one by one. Do we have T3 on the field for either of these players yet? We do have T3 on the way for MATRI, and he's 50% done. Where is the upgrade for it? It's 57% done. It looks like Jayco is stalling something fierce. Negative 31 mass, not quite even keeping up with his power generation. Having a lot of troubles. MATRI in a much better situation. He has got 94 mass a second versus his opponent's 33, or versus his allies 33, but his opponents are sitting on 29 and 80 mass a second. So both teams, actually, as far as generated eco goes, it's somewhat the same, but it just seems like Team 1 somehow is gaining more from all of this. There is a lot of reclaim going on for Team 1. And MATRI is pulling all of his spam over here and his comm. Try and fight off all of this. It looks like T3 has been achieved also by straight white male, as we see Titans appearing on the field, and now he is producing even Percivals, which is very, very dangerous. We definitely need to keep an eye on whether or not our two players down here in the south can manage to get T3 online and get up significant enough production to actually make a difference at this point. But it feels like they're slowly losing a grip on this game, which they had a strong control of for the longest time. And we have T3 on the way for Big Bang, T3 air that is. That could be very dangerous. We still have T2 air down here, and we're producing T2 engineers. He maybe wants to get up some T2 PD down here. You don't want to lose that HQ. That could be very dangerous as these Harbingers just start marching forward, causing massive issues for their opponents. Engineers dying in droves, stepping in front of the firing line quite ill-advisedly. And the Zooey spam, while impressive, doesn't quite seem to be enough at the moment. E3 83% done for MATRI, and Jakeco is at 84. Does feel like it might be a little bit too little too late though, as they're being encroached on by T3 units from multiple flanks. It feels we did have some Titans over here causing issues. They may have been killed off, but even if they were, there's just going to be more coming down this way. And the T2 air HQ of MATRI has died, and I think that's their only kind of air tech that they had. I don't even think that Jakeco has built an air factory in this entire game. Maybe he has, but I haven't seen any air units from him, that's for sure. And with that might be their only air factory. I think that was. They're woefully behind in the air game. They're about to be T0 air, no arrow air versus T3 air, the best air. So that's a very precarious situation. They definitely need to address that soon, be it spam up a wall of T1 air factories and hope that interceptors can solve your problems or not. But we do have these tanks, these Harbingers, these assault bots pushing in, and they're going to be killing off quite a bit, killing off a factory, killing off what appears to be a T2 or T3 mechs. I can't quite tell. It may have been a T1 mechs. I'm not 100%. The wrecks aren't very indicative. That was probably a T2 mechs. We have a bunch of T2 mechs over here and a T3 HQ that are going to be losing a lot of health points if we don't do something about these two remaining Harbingers. And now with T3 completed, we have on this air factory for Big Bang, we have a T3 engineer coming out. Going to be most likely producing itself a T3 power generator. Maybe even reclaim some of these to get that adjacency bonus. And that could be dangerous. He doesn't need to produce ASF. If they've scouted any kind of regularly, they'll notice that there's no air for them from their opposition. But then again, it actually does not look like they've done well on the scouting game. So they're not 100% sure about their opponent's air power, but I'm sure they also are thinking, I haven't seen a air unit at least, out from Jakeco in a very long time, if at all. So yeah, I'm sure that they're not super worried about that. And as far as Big Bang goes, if he gets up some strat bombers, he can end this match very quickly with the assistance of these interceptors out from straight white male, who has continued to produce Percivals at a seemingly very slow rate. Oh wait, no, never mind. All of the Percivals are over here just holding off the spam, while his T2 units come over here and try and slaughter some Zooies. But you gotta be careful, because Zooies, microing an army against Zooies is a lot harder than microing a comm, so You're definitely going to be taking some hits. A lot of these Zooies are going to die for this, though. A lot of dead Zooies, a lot of dead pillars. That's very dangerous. These sniper bots still out here just picking off units as soon as they get close enough to be shot at. A lot of asylums over here, just making sure that everybody inside them can't escape. Driving units mad. And a massive pause out from Straight White Male. He having power troubles? Yes, he is. He's building a T3 power generator. Once that completes, I'm sure that both of these players, once they complete a T3 power generator, are going to be in a much better position. And while we're talking about T3 power generators and sniper bots for Team 1, we're talking about T1 spam and trying to plug all the leaks in their very leaky ship of a base. We've kind of reached a lull. We do, of course, have these Zooies moving out, but they're not actually killing anything. All that we have left over here is a bunch of wall segments for PD that's been built by MATRI over the course of 5 or 6 campaigns out over on this eastern flank. And over here has been pretty stagnant for a while. I mean, sometimes it moves up 10 feet, sometimes it moves back. I mean, this side of the map has basically been trench warfare, while this side of the map has been commerce raiding. And we seemingly have hit a point where Team 1 is able to finally take the offensive, and Team 2 is kind of stuck on the back foot. We do have T3 completed for MATRI, and that could be a saving grace. Getting out some T3 tanks to cause a lot of damage could really help, and with this T1 spam, you could have a lot of units just assisting those tanks. We do have T1 bombers and T2 gunships out to try and kill off some of the spam, and it's honestly going to be unopposed. There's no air still. I mean, we do have a T2 air factory produced out of here. We have an air HQ for MATRI, but honestly, now that there's ASF in the air, you have no chance to deal with any of this. I'd like to see Big Bang start getting some strat bombers or restorers or something and just start bullying out his opponents. He could even possibly go for a strat snipe onto the comms if they can find them. Let's see. We have the comm of Jakeco over here and the comm of MATRI with his... MATRI has been standing here for like 15 minutes. He's just like, yeah, this is my mass extractor. It ain't much, but it's mine. Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. Titans killing T1 units because they can't do anything else. Everybody knows it. But still you see massive groups of T1 units floating their way into the Reaper's hands, so to speak. Holding out their necks and saying, insert scythe here. And to add insult to injury, we have T1 bombers chasing them down because the T1 bombers know there's not really much to contest them. We do have a scout plane up, and I'm guessing that that is going to let him know that these strat bombers are gonna be unopposed. You don't even need those anymore. Why are you still making ASF? Stop with that. We don't need any more Corona in our life at this given moment. Maybe at another moment, maybe down the line we'll need more Corona. But we don't need any more Corona right now. Man, do you think the Corona Beer Company is really upset that the virus is called the coronavirus? I bet you they've lost stock value.
If I can remember and be asked to, if they did, I'll like pull up an article and put it on the screen and be like, oh yeah, look at this. Corona lost money because the Chinese scientists said that the name of the virus is coronavirus. Why is it named Corona? Like, and also, for that matter, why is it called the flu? I mean, the flu makes more sense. It sounds like a disease. Corona sounds like a beer, and as far as I know, the word Corona is like something related with the sun. Like, the sun has coronas. I'm pretty sure that's a correct sentence. If I was at a spelling bee and they said use Corona in a sentence, I'd say the sun has coronas. Right? Hey Google, what's the definition of Corona? Yep, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted at all. I asked for the definition of the word Corona, not the definition of coronavirus 19. But you know, apparently that's all we can talk about nowadays. Alright. Where are these strap bombers? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strap bombers. Go for that snipe, my friend. Do you know where anything is? Do we know? I'm kind of feeling this game is over. I don't see the way out for Team 2 right now. We have T3 air on the way out. Never mind. It's not over till it's over. He's going to have to make a lot of ASF very quickly, as there's definitely enough bombers for a snipe currently. And MATRI is pulling his comm back. Probably a wise decision, all things considered. Let's go ahead and check on those mass totals again. And Team 1 has skyrocketed ahead of their opponents. Almost 50,000, just shy of 50,000 more mass than their opponents. We see that Big Bang is one energy stalling like a motherfucker, Jesus. And at 50, probably not energy stalling, somewhere around like 60, 70, maybe 80 mass a second. And his ally at 172 mass a second versus, oh my geez, everybody's power stalling. Everybody's gotten power issues except for Straight White Male, who is using Janus's to just rain fire down upon this spam block of spam. That's painful. One thing Janus is really good at is attacking these blocks of spam. I really love seeing it. I also love the napalm because I'm American, and you know, I don't have fond memories of Vietnam. I don't think anybody does, but it's a uniquely American thing to just see somebody getting firebombed, isn't it? Ah, yes. Uniquely American. Drop more ordnance on them sons of bitches. And we have all of the strap bombers out now. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 strap bombers is my guess. Oh, nope, I was wrong. It was 8. 8 strap bombers coming forward to kill off MATRI. And once that happens, the game is over. I think we can all agree MATRI, the only one with T3 air. The only one with the capability to kill off strap bombers, really. We do have some T3 anti-air defenses, but those aren't going to save you from strap bombers. And as we see a large proportion of the map just absolutely explode in a fiery inferno, we see the last ejection from our game. And that is going to be that. And that is the first game that I'm going to be showcasing from the MapGen Tourney. The MapGen Tourney had a ton of games and they were very cool, and that is a desync right there at the end. But the games that I'm showing you, I've been told are the best. And then I also decided that I'm going to throw in the final. Out of the 4 to 5 games I was sent, I think I was sent 4 or 5, only 3 of them did not have a desync somewhere in the match. So I'm showing every single one that I got that I was told was good or the final. And The last one we're going to be looking at is final. The next one we're going to be looking at is another long one. This video is going to be like almost 3 hours long, so strap in, and I will see you on the next randomly generated map, because I can't tell you what map it's going to be. But yeah, if you really like the look of this map and you want to play it for yourself, in the FAF host a lobby thing, you can actually randomly generate a map for yourself, and it's a pretty fun experience. I would recommend doing it. All right, bye-bye. Well, wait, no, not bye-bye. This is not the end of the video. Jesus, I will see you in a minute when I get my shit together. Alright everybody, we're on to game 2 of this mega cast of the map gen Tourney. It is yet again 4v4 as we saw the last time. I don't need to explain anymore, but I do want to say thank you to my Patreons, even though I forgot to say it in the first time, you know, the name popped up. If you want to check out my Patreon, there is a link in the description. And let's introduce our players. We're going to call Team 1 this team over here, and the scoreboard agrees, so that's pretty dope. And we're going to be starting with a blue Seraphim by the name of Shokaku22. And then up to his north, his first ally in crime, we have a red Aeon by the name of Citrus984. And then to his north, we have a purple Cybran by the name of Mimics. And to his east, we have a white Seraphim by the name of MORAX. That's team 1. Let's go ahead and check down here on team 2. We'll start over here with the Gingerbread Man. He's a red Seraphim. I always do that. Always almost call these Cybrans and always almost call the Cybran Seraphims. I don't know why I do that. To his south, we have BLACKROCK, a purple Cybran. Then to his south, even further south, we have a blue Cybran by Narnerd Power. He is rockin' Cybran. And then we have our last player. So it's a triple Cybran, or no, 2 Seraphim, 2 Cybran for team 2. And his name is KAVAT. He is a green Cybran. I think green looks really good on Cybran. Anybody else agree? I think it really fits. It works. Alright, we can see how the map is looking. Control Shift, mass reclaim pretty much everywhere. We have some bigger rocks of like 300 and 1200, or actually those are wrecks, and we just have a lot of mass everywhere. Everybody's getting a little bit of reclaim. They even put a tiny crater over here, or hill, with some reclaim for the player in the back who's going to have the hardest time getting reclaim. I guess he does have this stuff over here. And yeah. This map is a little bit bigger. It's a 20 by 20 map. I'm going to jump this game speed up until we see some more players doing more things. Actually, let's slow it down. We do have some interceptors, or not interceptors, some air scouts out from Team 1 moving their way down south. Or actually more so east. What's the hotkey? Control-Alt-T, T. I don't know the hotkey for tracking units, apparently. Or maybe I rebound it to something else. But we do have some scouts coming out. Let's go ahead and actually just check to what they're seeing. Not a whole bunch. Now we're getting some scouts out from Team 2 as well. As we can see, we're going to be seeing some units coming up. There is an interceptor here, may be able to scouting. Have an early transport out from MORAX. He's going to be getting some units over here onto this eastern flank, going to be trying to get a foothold over there. I'm guessing that the way this map is going to play out is the 2 players that are closest to the rivers are going to try and fight for their respective areas on the opponent's landmass, and players on the players closest to them, of course, are going to fight them there. This player probably going to be doing a lot of Navy for each side. And as we can see, Navy already coming down over here. We have Citrus walking his comm into this very deep water. I always wonder, is this actually like deep, or is it just shallow and painted really well? I always wonder that. Like, can they just paint the water and make it look deeper than it is? Like, it's so impossible, but is that actually deeper than the surrounding water around it, or is it just really well painted? Very interesting thing. We do have a few exchanges of units up around where? We have some interceptors over here fighting. It does look like these interceptors are actually going to miss the transport that's out from KAVAT. So he is going to manage to make his way over here with a transport. We had either a transport or just a really fast... No, that had to be a transport. Yeah, he had a transport. He brought it out here. So Citrus also going to be getting involved in fighting the opponent KAVAT down here. And we have... Citrus's comm is still walking. It doesn't look like he's actually all that interested in making naval units, or maybe he wants to make naval units over here. I don't know if this gap is big enough to really get much through. That's a very... I mean, I'm sure you could get T1 units through, but anything further than that, and it might be a little bit of a problem. As I said, with the map gen, you kind of have to figure out the map on the fly. You can't just play a map and know it by heart, kind of like you can do with Settins or Dual Gap or anything like that. You have to figure it out, and that's what these players are attempting to do. We do have a T1 bomber out from Shokaku 22. Some interceptors over here seemingly getting upper hand of his opponent. Another transport drop with NGs out for MORAX. He went Seraphim, so he does have a very good advantage over here. He's going to be able to get some units out. I wonder, with the map gens, I actually haven't played that much with map gens, and I haven't paid attention in the lobbies, because usually I join a lobby X and then kind of go AFK until I hear it go badoop and tell me I'm going into a game. But do you get to see the map in the map preview, or is it just a gray screen? That's a good question. Maybe I'll put something on screen to show you what it looks like in a lobby. Maybe. I don't know how much work I want to give myself later, but, you know. Me being the car crash victim that I am, I have a lot of free time. A little bit of an air engagement over here. I do believe that Team 2 is winning it, though. I am correct. Assumption. We do have some units out over here for Citrus, who's actually, he was just walking his comm over here. He's really going hard in the idea of, hey, I'm going to shut down KAVAT, and it's really nice with this map gen sort of situation. You just get to see what the two sides go for, whereas Citrus is going for the comm and the spam and just trying to secure his half of the map. You can see that his opponent is going for naval spam, and that could be very dangerous. I mean, one team gets up Navy. It is Cyber Navy, but so you don't have like the threat of the mobile missile launchers, but you do still have the very real threat of just simply walking some destroyers up on land over here and causing a lot of issues. KAVAT seemingly about to get a little bit overwhelmed over here on this flank, but then again, that was a really nice artillery shot that managed to kill off 2 tanks, and he has his comm down here. But it is going to be a 2v1 for all intents and purposes for him, whereas his opponent, his mirror MORAX, is only fighting 1 player, but it's still relatively difficult. These players can get a lot of units out very quickly to these flanks, and you have to take the time to transport engineers over and get up a factory and all of that good stuff. He does have even more opposition up here. It does look like BLACKROCK has managed to transport some engineers up here, get a small production facility up, and that can also be a thorn in the side for MORAX, who has opted to only now bring his comm across to try and secure a beachhead for his team to fight through. And we have a large concentration of T1 spam out from both Citrus and Shokaku out over here. It does look like a transport was shot down at one point. And these two players are going to be fighting KAVAT, who has actually managed to gather quite a bit stronger of a stronghold down here. He is definitely a foothold in this area.
but he is, of course, going to be going against a much larger economy since there are two players just constantly producing units over here. We do have BLACKROCK producing some frigates, and that could be very dangerous for this naval factory. I wonder if they have scouted it, and they seemingly have not, which is very interesting. But these air scouts are making a turn, and there is a T1 artillery that's going to spot it out, so they do know that there is enemy naval presence over here, and we can see Navy being produced out by Citrus over on this flank. So there are two players on each side producing Navy, as we can also see a naval factory over here for Gingerbreadman. Gingerbreadman's comm is pretty far out here. We do have T2 air out from MORAX. He has rushed that. He's going to use some gunships to his advantage, but then again, he also needs to have air control, and it doesn't look too good for him right now. This T2 gunship's going to die, but it may survive thanks to this transport out from Mimics. I would assume that the two players in the far corners would go for air a lot heavier, and I wonder if that's going to play an outsized role. Both players are indeed Cybran, so we're not going to be seeing any shenanigans as far as stuff like Swifties are concerned. But then again, we do have T2 air out from Shokaku, and he could produce Swifties, and that would be a very dangerous situation because Swifties are nothing to be messed with. Until you hit T3 and get ASF, Swifties are just somewhat unrivaled in the air. You have to build so many more ASFs or Inties to counter the Swifty T2 air superiority fighter. And as we can see, this constant spam has kind of put KAVAT and MORAX kind of they don't have similar names, but for some reason I'm gonna probably start confusing them. But KAVAT in a relatively difficult situation, as he is now outgunned pretty much. He does not have the production or the economy to rival his opponents, despite getting a much better foothold earlier on. He's going to be pushed on by two comms, one of which getting a gun in range and speed upgrade, and the other one simply just sending a lot of units. And pretty much he could probably take on either of these players individually, but with both of their combined output, this is going to be a very tough ask for him to hold. We'll have to see if he gets some air support possibly, or maybe even Nunnered Power could start putting out some factories. Kind of try and help him on that front. But MORAX on the other side of the coin, the flip side, is also starting to lose quite a bit of ground. His comm is actually in a dangerous position, but he's going to be perfectly fine. Once he gets into the water, there's not going to be any threat on him, but he is going to be kind of ousted from this location, and without his comm here, I really don't see a way for him to hold on to this. So it does look like both teams are going to be able to hold their half of the map. This might devolve into a naval war, and if that is the case, we do have a solid advantage over to BLACKROCK currently, as he has managed to take out the naval production for MORAX, and possibly it does seem that he's managed to grab a couple of mass extractors with his frigates as well. And now he's trying to push this chokehold, which honestly I think that's going to be relatively successful, as this one frigate comes into the meat grinder and dies. Now we can see BLACKROCK just start to move his way in here. There are 4 naval factories, but currently he has such an advantage in just standing units. I think he could survive this as long as he kills off the engineers before they build torp defense. We do have T2 air out now for Gingerbreadman, and he is using that air in a relatively aggressive fashion. He's currently trying to get out some torp bombers, so that way he can deal with any possible retreating comm into the water, maybe get MORAX the next time MORAX tries to walk over. But we have T3 air out already for Mimics, and he is in fact the front runner in this game. He is the 2000 rated player. He is
probably the player with the most experience and the most dangerous player. So it's very fortunate that he was on air, as his opponent is still working. No, his opponent has managed to get T3 air, but does not quite have the interceptor count of the ASF count of his opponent. There is a T3 power generator already done for Mimics, whereas Nerd Power has not managed to finish his yet. He's working on it currently. Probably needs to throw a little bit more effort into that. I would like to see if Mimics has managed to scout this yet and knows. He has no idea. He knows it's a T3 power, it's a T3 air factory, but he could probably get out a strap bomber and just do some havoc, kill off some economy. And I kind of missed it, but we also sort of saw it when I was looking at the torp bombers. A large amount of tanks that has been whittled down over time by these Zooies and these Thoms was over here, causing massive issues out from MORAX. The production facilities for MORAX have been destroyed, but he has managed to take away a lot of the mass generation from this area simply by doing very, very big pushes with tanks. He's killed off a lot of mass extractors, so he's done some damage, but it's just a matter of getting engineers out here reclaiming this entire area. We even have BLACKROCK over here making his own units and making things happen on his own. It may be a little bit dangerous to be having comms in the water, as we're seeing a lot of torp bombers come out. You don't want to be the guy who's caught with his pants down in that regard. And it does seem we do have a consensus on how this map is going to play out. Both teams have managed to hold exactly halfway down the map. This little river here in this middle river lake thing has managed to corral both teams into one half of the map. It is the divider for the map. It does look like Team 2 has a slight advantage in form of BLACKROCK's navy and this little bit of a land incursion out from GingerBreadMan, but MORAX also has T2 air. He's just working on getting some things built up over here. He's healing up his comm. We also have the T3 and the air advantage over to Mimics. We do have quite a bit of work going on down here, so that has really made this a lot more feasible of a push. We do have a T2 land HQ over here that may be under threat. I really hope KAVAT notices his units over here and notices that he has the capability to kill off a very expensive investment out from his opponent. I really hope he starts target firing this down, because those blazes come out and they can outrange and outdamage these Thoms. You don't want to be dealing with that. But we have a drop of Zooies in, and those are going to be causing massive damage. And I'm pretty sure that this base is donezo. We're going to be losing T2 land for Citrus, and that's going to be very painful. It's a big investment, in my opinion, to make, and he made it in a relatively dangerous spot. And I believe that's the only T2 that he has, so he's going to have to get... Oh, he does have T2 Navy. I think that just flicked over to becoming a T2 Naval Factory. So not all of his economy, but we're also seeing a massive amount of Zooey spam out from Team 2. Both teams have two Seraphim players, but only one of them abusing this T1 mobile mobile hover artillery that is just definitely going to be a thorn in the side of Team 1. Although Team 1 is doing much better on the mass generation this game, it does look like. Let's check on this. We do have 126 already at the 16-minute mark mass generation out from Mimics. Shokaku sitting at 79, 23 from MORAX, and Citrus sitting at 21. Versus Nerd Power is only at 95, whereas his opponent, that actually might be 85. I don't know. Very small number up there. 49, 43-ish, and 36. So we have Mimics up here. Definitely, he's managed to get up a solid eco so far, and he's going to start building a air grid with power generators and T3 air factories to boot, and that's going to be giving them a pretty solid advantage in the air. But is it enough? Is his economic might enough at the moment? We do have a ghetto gunship out from him, and it's killing off Zoos in an alarmingly fast rate. Like, that's a really effective gunship. But these Zoos did get in here and kill off that T2 naval factory, naval HQ. That's super painful. That's gonna set Citrus back. He's lost both of his T2 production facilities, so he's no longer going to have T2 engineers, and I'm not seeing any just strewn about here, so he's going to be a little bit ways off for T2 power. And we have flares trying to kill off Zoos, but they're going to get a T2 mass extractor, so that's exceptionally painful for Team 1. Team 1 kind of hurting now. They may have accrued more mass over this game, but it definitely feels like the momentum is in the hands of Team 2. They're definitely getting a lot more control over their own side of the map. It does seem that the Zooey spam has stopped in favor of making cruisers. Seraphim cruisers are going to be very dangerous, especially for Citrus, as he does not have T2 yet, unless it's on the comm, but I don't see any upgrade on that comm's left arm. So I don't believe he's going to have T2 to create EMD, and you need tactical missile defense whenever you have cruisers starting to bear down on your mass extractors, your power generators. That's could be very, very painful. They definitely need to start getting up possibly some torp bomber production. Let's go ahead and just check on the ASF numbers. We're sitting at 16 for Mimics versus BLACKROCK sitting at... Okay, that's the wrong player. Narnerd Power, who is sitting at 25. He has more ASF currently than his opponent. I wonder if that's because he's not going for a power grid and a power air grid and just going for assisting the factory. Eventually, the power grid does, in my opinion, do a lot better. You get a lot more ASF out, and you can also assist them at the same time. But it is very expensive at the initial costs. Maybe whenever he finishes this part of the power grid, he should stop. He should keep scouting and notice that his opponent's not doing the same. Get up some build power. That's what I would do. I really like to rely heavily on scouting if I'm playing air. I like to see what my opponent's doing and then figure out from there what I want to do. But then again, these players are infinitely better than me, so anything I say is probably wrong. They're probably doing the right thing, honestly. And we do have this cruiser coming up here, and we can see that BLACKROCK has brought up his navy just to try and give it a buffer zone, try and protect it a little bit. We do have some Spectre gunships out here, but with the combined double cruisers out from BLACKROCK and Gingerbreadman's cruiser with this much AA, I don't suspect that these Spectres are going to do much. Wait, no, these aren't Spectres, these are Volthus. Or as Guile would say, gun sheeps. These gun sheeps. Watch out for the gun sheeps. Yeah, the instantly dying. And we have T3 air out from MORAX, but he's losing his power generators around it, and that's going to make it very hard to get a T3 power gen online. Also, he could just start absolutely pummeling this, and that would be very deadly. Do these have enough range to inflict any damage? They do, and it does look like this T3 Air HQ is gonna die. Man, something about Team 1 and losing losing HQs is I mean, tell me a better match. Tell me something that's more iconic, a more iconic duo than Team 1 and losing their HQs. It does seem that we're getting some torp bombers out, but it doesn't feel like that's quite enough at this point. Of course, we are getting those Aeon T1 bombers, which do the little EMP stun effect, which is significant, but I don't think that this survives. I don't believe that you're going to be able to get up anything to protect from these incoming missiles in time. So we are going to be losing this air factory HQ,
and that's going to be exceptionally painful. We do have a T2 HQ for Navy finally out for Team 1. It's coming out of Shokaku, who is currently just absolutely taking over this southern half of the map for them. We do have a drop of engineers out over here from KAVAT, but he seemingly forgot about them. I'd like to see him start producing something. He's going to be grabbing mass extractors and doing some reclaim. He's just going for a little bit of economy. We have a lot of gunships out from Shokaku. They're moving over here towards his comm, which is under double shielding, which is a very protected comm. And with all of this said and done, MORAX is in a very painful position currently, and we do have a destroyer out from KAVAT now. It's 3 versus pretty much 1 in the Navy. We don't even really have all that much Navy coming out from Citrus, who is currently the lowest economy player in the game. It's all just Shokaku, and that is going to be super painful. People sending mass over to MORAX. What is he attempting to build? That is a nuke launcher. I'm really happy that they added the entire... So when you're in game, you can just click at the next to your allies and send them mass or units or whatever, and it sends a message in chat. I'm really happy they did that, because now whenever somebody starts doing that, I'm like, okay, they're building something big. What are they building? And we do have a nuke launcher. We will have to keep an eye on that with mimics over here in the corner. The question is it scouted? Do they know about it? They do not. They have no clue. They are none the wiser to the fact that there's a nuke on the way. And all of the base of MORAX has been gifted over to mimics, which I don't know. It seems a little bit questionable to me, because now mimics, while he has increased eco for building that nuke launcher, he also has so much more to manage now. And the map is somewhat falling apart around them, but they are still managing to produce more mass per second and to have stronger ecos despite it. And this nuke could cause massive issues for Team 2 if they do not get up some kind of nuke defense. And as far as I can see, there's no nuke defense down here. Definitely not coming out of KAVAT. He is definitely not in a very strong economic position. I'm not seeing any out from BLACKROCK either. Checking over here, we don't see anything even approaching that coming from GINGERBREADMAN, our northern player, and that just leaves Nunnered Power, who's the air player, and since he hasn't scouted it, I'm sure he's not thinking about anti-nuke, but this is a very early nuke. It's already built. The structure is already there. We also see MORAX using his comm defensively, trying to just keep this Zooey spam from doing any more damage. And we have a whole bunch of torp bombers out over here for Citrus. He's just spamming out torp bombers, trying to help his ally in the Navy. But this T2 Naval HQ is going down. I told you there is not a better duo, and was I wrong? The game hinges on how effectively this nuke launcher is built. And the question is, have they seen it? They have seen the nuke. Let's see what the response is. Is there anybody building an anti-nuke right now, or are they going for the possibility of sniping it? We don't have an anti-nuke building over here as far as I can tell. We have plenty of engineers to build it with. Let's check down here. We don't see anything. I don't even think he has T3 yet, so he doesn't really have a shot at this. Do we have an anti-nuke possibly on the way for BLACKROCK? I'm not seeing one, so we are in a lot of trouble, and the comm of MORAX is still just out here fighting up a storm, very much so almost dead, sitting at 2400 health and falling, but at the same time it's about to get a rank in veterancy. I think if it kills these 2 Zooies, it vets up. Oh, come on, kill that last Zooey. And, oh no, one more Zooey. Just one more. Keep microing it. Don't die. Don't die, MORAX. You can do this. I know I'm not supposed to root for people, but you're definitely in a precarious situation, and you fought so hard so far. Come on. Oh man, get somebody to give you an E-storage. Oh no, come on. Oh, we got the rank and veterancy. We got the rank and veterancy. That's going to help quite a bit. 22 health a second. Having to constantly dodge Zooey fire and causing so many issues for him. But he may just barely be able to run back from his current position and survive. But even if he does, what's the point? I think he just wants to keep his calm fighting for as long as possible and stem this tide of Zooies as long as possible. Let's check over, well actually let's check on the nuke itself. It's 50% complete. It is currently going up in completion rate massively, and it is scouted, but what's the response? Where do you even build the anti-nuke? Because if you build an anti-nuke up here, it doesn't protect anybody really, it just protects you. Every player kind of has to build an anti-nuke, or you're kind of losing somebody guaranteed. The nuke is a very good check situation. If we were playing chess, this would be a check, and you'd have to do something relatively clever to get out of it. If he can get off that first nuke and maybe just take out the air player, maybe just go for non-nerd power. I mean, I'm not seeing an anti-nuke being built anywhere unless I'm just blind. Maybe if they're feeling really spicy, they could try and build an anti-nuke right next to... Holy shit! Mimics is going for everything, it feels like. He's going for the nuke launcher. He's apparently going for laser on the comm and teleporter. He got gun damage, speed and range. So Mimics is just straight up going for, okay, we cannot win this anymore. There is too much bearing down on our location. I am going to kill some of you fuckers. I love the way I put that. But yeah, he is just going for the I'm gonna snipe you. Every flank has collapsed now for Team 1. Team 1 just getting pummeled, but there's just this shining, glimmering ball of hope in the top left, and his name is Mimics. And he's trying tooth and nail, clawing, trying to dig him and his team out of this situation. He's put on his carry pants. He has a big ass backpack, and he is prepared to kill everybody by himself. I guess I can't really say that. Shokaku has been putting up one hell of a fight down here. We haven't been following it heavily, but he's been killing a lot of ships. As you can see, a massive mass field just coming in over here. A lot going on there. MORAX has also been doing some valiant work with trying to defend all of this off. 83 kills on the comm, 3 vets. He is just over here killing Zooies like it's going out of style. And you, of course, do have Citrus, who is kind of doing the same thing that his ally is. And we have strat bombers being used to kill Zooies, which is a little ridiculous. And we do have a nuke coming out, and it is going to be heading for that base in the bottom right. It's going for non-nerd power, and that is going to be very dangerous. I don't see any kind of anti-nuke built up just yet from anybody, and we do have comms walking, which is a pretty big sign that nobody is prepared for this. But if this lands exactly where it was targeted, that's going to be a devastating blow. And now he's focusing on getting laser, and then I would assume teleporter on the comm, and that's going to be just as devastating. I'm not seeing a single anti-nuke being built anywhere. We do have an anti-nuke built over here, but it's only halfway done with its nuke. And I mean, I guess that is probably the smartest location to build it. And we have T3 Air now out for the green Seraphim player by the name of KAVAT, but this nuke is going to land, and it is going to kill the HQ and other air factories and power generators galore, take out some T3 mass extractors, and just leave non-nerd power in a very precarious situation. But at the same time, it's not like they're out of the woods yet. That nuke did not do enough. Sure, you now have air control, but even with that, there is so much that you have to fight through and deal with all of this Zooey spam.
this constant pressure, losing so much ground on pretty much every front. This is the only area in the south that's safe, and it is only safe because the comm is here, really. They do have TMD, and they do have shields and such, but he's gonna need to start building probably some PD. There's only flak here, my friend. You need some actual units to kill this off. And we do have 3 strat bombers out from non-nerd power, and that's gonna be very dangerous. This is a bad situation for Shokaku to be stuck in. He does have T2 and gun, so he could start causing massive issues, but oh man, that's so painful. He's losing a large chunk of his economy. I believe that was a T3 mechs, and all of these were upgrading to T3, and that just hurts so much. The strat bombers combined with the Zoos, and now the strat bombers are coming in for the scalp, and it looks like Shukaku is going to be our first ejection here at the 31-minute mark. We're going to be losing Shokaku unless something miraculous happens and he gets saved. But there's 3 more strat bombers coming in, and no matter how well he micros this, he is dead. And teleporter starting on Mimics, that might be their last chance, as now they're going to completely capitulate and lose on the southern flank. He was keeping this green wave at bay, and now we can see KAVAT possibly transport a whole bunch of engineers over and just get so much more spam to throw directly towards the northern half of the map. We still have MORAX over here still sitting at half health. He hasn't been above half health for most of the game, but he's starting to get to that 5 vet point, and once he reaches it, he's going to be a threat to be reckoned with. But even then, I'm not sure what he can really do once he achieves that. We have T3 air out from multiple players on Team 2 now. T3 air out from GingerBreadMan, KAVAT, and non-nerd power, I would assume, is getting a T3. Already has a T3 air HQ and a T3 air HQ for BLACKROCK. So it looks like everybody on Team 2 has T3 air, and that is definitely a dangerous proposition. We do have this nuke still being built, and that could be very dangerous. Do we have anything else kind of spicy going on anywhere around here? I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, nothing crazy going on. I haven't looked at this part of the map in a while. Yeah, just a crazy situation. We have Mimics just trying to throw everything into this game. He's trying so hard, from rushing a nuke to now rushing Telemazer. He's definitely in it to win it, but even if he gets Telemazer, like, BLACKROCK isn't really targetable. All of the other comms are underwater, so I don't know what he would do with it realistically. At this point, I think his best option is really just nuke over here, try and stifle anything. I don't know where that nuke is going. It does seem to be going towards the comm of GingerBreadMan, and if that lands and kills GingerBreadMan, that will be devastating. It does seem they scouted the comm because there's nothing else here. The comm is moving. Can it move far enough away or get deep enough under the water in time? I would guess it could. I don't see why it wouldn't be able to. Ah, man, it really hurts because you know Team 1 is trying so hard, but it just feels kind of inevitable at this point unless this nuke can just barely scalp off GingerBreadMan, who's sending all of his mass to non-nerd power, thinking that this might be the end of him. If maybe you had let it a little bit better, you could kill him off, but no, you're not even gonna damage the man. All you get for that nuke is killing off 1 ASF. And oh man, it's so painful. So painful. So with that, I think the Telemazer is your last choice, and actually BLACKROCK's trying to make your life easier.
By just walking out into the middle of nowhere. Oh, it's because you launched the nuke. He was just trying to make sure he wasn't getting nuked. And with that, we have basically 2 comms and 1 player left in this game. Mimix is in a difficult situation, and I pity anyone in this situation. And as I said, you get out a bunch of engineers over here and you have even more Zooies to contend with. And honestly, Team 2 has abused Zooies so much, we should start like a Zooey abuse fund. We should get Sarah McLachlan to sing a song or some shit, because Zooies have been used in droves. Used and abused this game. Let's just go ahead and check. Even though the bulk of the Zooey spam has kind of halted, we still have 39 Zooies out for Gingerbreadman, and KAVAT is sitting at 100. And this is in like the light Zooey area, the era of mass Zooey casualties and sending Zooies to their graves in droves is over. We've moved on to more elegant tactics of cruisers and far-range bombardment and an experimental? Where'd you build an experimental? Where was this built? Wait, where is this experimental? It did say Gingerbreadman, right? Hey, Gingerbreadman, where's your experimental? Very curious. Oh, here it is. I'm just blind. Hello, Yathota. Hello, chicken. How are you? You have a very nice head. Did you get a new haircut? I shouldn't have played air. I called it in pregame. It's good. You are air. Wasted on air. Wasted on air. Wait. On a map like this, can't do anything if you don't have Navy. I thought the others could at least hold. Ginger OP, please nerf. Gingerbread did really just absolutely like destroy this northern flank. Like down here it looked like KAVAT had a chance, but MORAX, it never really looked like he had a good chance of holding it. And over here we can see that a Control K has been used to murder off the comm of Citrus, and we have Teleporter is finished. Where is he teleporting to? Good question. I would guess over here somewhere? BLACKROCK? BLACKROCK? BLACKROCK, you're being real sneaky. Oh no, BLACKROCK. You were so close to being sniped off. BLACKROCK, no. Well, here we go. Mimix has managed to kill himself, and this is gonna be his glorious demise. He might get a rank in veterancy, which would definitely extend his time on this Earth. Well, this planet, probably not Earth. I don't think there's anywhere on Earth that looks quite like this. Wow, there really just wasn't enough PD here. Okay, well, he stopped shooting the PD, so it looked like there was. I think if he targeted down the PD, he could have actually survived that. Last man standing. It's funny that MORAX has survived the longest. He's the one who spent the most time just walking his comm around fighting Zooies. And what's he still doing? We're 38 minutes in, and he's still microing against Zooies. Sitting at 152 kills on the comm, 153. The question really now is, how many Zooies can this man kill? I'm pretty sure if you just keep sending Zooies at him and nothing else, he may be able to micro it forever. He might just be able to micro it forever.
Zooey Micro is a complicated thing, but once you get it down pat, you're pretty good at it. He's also microing cruiser shots. Hell, he's kind of microing cruiser shots into the Zooies, which is interesting. And the Yathoda is going to show up and avenge the 160 or so in Zooies that had died. That Yathoda got return on investment of nothing, 2 kills for all of its work. But with that, I say, let's get on to the finals. We're going to be looking at the finals of the Map Gin tourney, seeing who won the entire shebang in the next replay. So stay tuned and I hope you're enjoying this megacast. Well, here we are in the grand finals of the Map Gin tourney. I'm excited to bring it to you, and I'm hoping it's gonna be a banger. Without any further talking, let's go ahead and start introducing our teams. Team 1 is going to be here at the top according to Supreme Scoreboard, so let's go ahead and start up here. We have KAVAT, a green Seraphim, so KAVAT, GingerBreadMan, Non-Nerd Power, and BLACKROCK making their return. They've made it to the finals. To his northeast, we have Non-Nerd Power, who we saw in the last game. He was in the air position on the last game, and it might be the same situation here. We have to his southeast, GingerBreadMan, one of the linchpins in the destruction of the enemy team last time. And last but not least for Team 1, it is BLACKROCK, the man who was Cybran last time doing Navy. BLACKROCK UEF, we have a Cybran for GingerBreadMan, Seraphim, and Cybran for KAVAT and Non-Nerd Power, respectively. Kind of botched that, but let's go ahead and introduce their opponents down here on the bottom half of the map. We have a purple Cybran by the name of Zlo, and he is going to be rocking probably this land route, I would guess. Then we have down here his first ally. We have Natron, the gray Cybran, is first land. And then we have another gray Cybran, and his name is Resistance. And last but most certainly not least for this game, we have a green UEF by the name of Jaden W. Or Jaden. And with that out of the way, we can start seeing how these players want to approach this match. There is a bunch of reclaims spread out. We can notice a little bit of a trend. We do have some bigger wrecks over here in the middle on this island. Some nice, about 600 mass there total. And we do have some more heavily mass-centric areas over here, just kind of in the middle of the map. There's some bigger wrecks, and it's probably still, this is all worth more, but if you want to get out there early and start grabbing stuff, of course. We do have air out from 2 of our players. We have air scouts and interceptors being produced. We can see engineers out on manual reclaim orders for pretty much everybody. Everybody getting that nice 175 mass rock right next to a mass extractor makes getting that mass extractor a lot easier, a lot cheaper pretty much. Pretty sure that 175 pays for the cost of the mass extractor itself. So that is always nice to see. You sometimes see map makers putting the rocks right on top of the mass extractor point, so reclaim it right before you build it. And with that, we have our first little look at how the aggression is going to go. We do have a T1 bomber out from KAVAT. He is going to be making his way down south with this bomber. Probably going to try and pick off some engineers. We do have an early transport out from Zlo. Gonna be reclaiming this Seraphim wreck of a factory. That is a nice chunk of mass. There is, of course, one up on the top side as well. And we can see a bomber is also out from Natron, so he is going to attempt to get across the map, but he does have to deal with a flurry of interceptors first. We do have the bomber out from KAVAT coming over here. It seemingly has seen these engineers. They have a nice split, so it's going to be hard on getting more than just one. There's 3 or 2 interceptors over here, so there's a good chance this bomber only gets 1 drop. And right now, as far as we can tell, is... Ooh, it's gonna get off the first drop. Oh, wait, no, it didn't drop its payload. It's not going to get any damage done. These interceptors are going to shoot it down before it can do anything, so that is unfortunate. We do have a transport out to the middle very quickly out from GingerBreadMan, and that is going to be our first little bit of action here in the middle, but it could be shut down very quickly. We do have a bomber incoming. I wonder if that is scouted. They do know about it. They are sending that bomber to try and kill it off, but the bomber was shot down by, I would guess, this blue interceptor out from non-earth power. So the T1 bomber shenanigans being remarkably unsuccessful. We've seen some really nice T1 bombers so far, but we haven't seen any just absolutely fail like that. Usually they get at least 1 bomb off and a little bit of damage, just this tiny bit of value back, but everybody who built a T1 bomber this game seemingly lost out on their investment. Another transport to the middle out from non-earth power this time, and this might get... No, it's not getting shot down. The transport may be shot down, but it does release its payload of engineers, so there is going to be 2 players from Team 1 up here in this area, up in this little middle island that exists. And down here we have a lot of factories going up for Zlo. He's putting a lot of effort and getting out here very quickly with that transport and such to make sure that he has a good hold on all of these mass points. I would assume he's going to try and just get up an army, send out some engineers, and just hold this choke right here. It may be a little bit difficult if their opponents do get into the Navy game. This has been reclaimed, but they have not ordered up a factory yet, whereas Zlo has. If we look at the ratings of the teams and just in general what's going on, it's a 94% quality game, so these teams are very evenly matched. We're looking at a highest rating of Zlo with 2,000, and the lowest rating in this game being Jaden W, also on Zlo's team, of 1,100 rating. Of course, global rating not quite as accurate as ladder rating. Maybe Jaden just doesn't play a lot of games and is just smashing it on the ladder, but that doesn't seem to be the case. We do have some bombers out, and they have managed to kill off an engineer from the looks of it, I would believe. Yes, those are bombers out from Natron, and it's looking like he's going to get 2 more engineers. It's not going to matter ultimately, as there are factories already out here. So there will already be some production up. He can always make more engineers, and those engineers can make more factories. But this little bit of air engagement seemingly going the way of Team 2 for the moment. There's not quite as many interceptors or bombers out to date this situation. We do have a lot of Sky Slammers coming out, which are a little bit nice. They can shoot down at ground units, but they also have the capability of their primary capabilities are shooting down air units, and they can really dispatch bombers pretty easily. We have a couple of Jesters out from Natron as well. If we go ahead and look over on this western flank, we can see that Zlo seemingly has a strong foothold over here already. There is an attempted drop of some engineers over here, but it's been scouted out, and KAVAT is most likely not going to be able to get a foothold in this game, much akin to the last game where he could not get a foothold. It's looking like the primary way of him getting over to this little peninsula over here is going to be up here, where he's already built a few factories and has more queued up. In the middle, we have, of course, more bomber action, the constant flow of bombers, along with a lot of factories putting out Mantis and Sky Slammers to try and deny this area from Natron. We have our first naval units out now. We have a couple of naval factories out for BLACKROCK and 1 out for... who is that? That's GingerBreadMan, and they are producing units now. They have 4 frigates for Team 1 and only 1 for Team 2. So Team 2 not quite so dominant on the naval or this area, but Zlo definitely putting up a huge fight and gaining a lot of territory over here on the western flank, this western mass of land.
I don't know. This would be a peninsula, right? Like, it's just a very weird thing. We have, like, gulfs or some shit. Whatever the geographical term for this is. Probably very unlikely. I don't think you'd find a very similar place on planet Earth. But, I mean, I don't know. This could be work differently here. I'm gonna crack open a drink and take a swig real quick. If you can hear that, then just know that my channel is totally an ASMR channel. So it does look like Natron is somewhat holding right here, but I bet it does not look long for this world with how many units are out from Gingerbreadman, and very akin to the last game, just absolutely creating a huge wall of T1 units. He's going to be able to try and oust his opponent over here, losing a couple of units to artillery. He probably doesn't want to be doing that. A bunch of energy being sent to non-nerd power. What is he building? He's building a T2 power generator, so they're just giving him energy so he can finish that, and then he'll probably be overflowing to his allies, or maybe he'll be perfectly balanced, as all things should be. You know, Thanos did nothing wrong and all that. We have some bombers being just picked off by a roaming group of interceptors over here for KAVAT, and in the middle we have another push coming down on these factories. It's not looking like it's going to get too terribly much done, but we also have bombers coming in, and it's just going to get harder and harder to hold it from here, as we also have Zooies approaching from KAVAT. Team 1 putting a lot of emphasis on having this island of their own. They also have quite the naval hold at the moment. I would like to see possibly Jaden W get their feet in the water. Over here you'd have a pretty safe area. It'd be relatively unscouted. You could start building some units. We do have 4 naval factories out from Zlo, but Zlo is also producing a lot of land units, and you would have to think that his economy is kind of being run thin, but then again, he's getting a lot of T2 mass extractors. He's doing a little bit of everything, almost playing it as if it's a ladder game. He's gifted a T2 power generator over to Resistance, who is currently already at T3 air and producing a very early strat bomber. We will have to keep an eye on that and see exactly how that goes. A drop of Zooies over here out from KAVAT. It's going to pick off a T2 mass extractor. Let's see what else it can get. I doubt it's going to get very much. They have gestures on the way, and those will dispatch of it quickly. We also have the Calm of Resistance moving up, just trying to negate any more damage that could possibly be done by this little incursion. A lot of energy being thrown at Resistance currently. It does look like that bomber is stalling him, as I would expect it to. Very expensive to get a bomber without a T3 power gen, and even if you're assisting it, 1 T3 power gen may not even be enough if you have the mass to build that bomber. And the bomber is indeed out. We will have to keep an eye on it, see how well Resistance micros it. I'm sure at 1800 a rating, he will micro it pretty well. Pretty damn well. I think it's going to get a nice little chunk of damage done. I'm not seeing T3 air anywhere else. Well, actually, no, we do have non-nerd power, who has just achieved T3 air, but I'm assuming he's going to be building an engineer first. He's not going straight for an interceptor, which is going to possibly be a mistake. But then again, there are a lot of, or ASF, not interceptor. There are a lot of interceptors on the field for both teams, so we will have to see if he can avoid the possibility of being caught out by one of these very large hordes of interceptors. But as long as he avoids those, he can get off quite a little bit of damage with this strat bomber, as long as he's careful with it. He doesn't want to wait too long, as we will be seeing an ASF started the second this T3 power is destroyed. It does look like that band of interceptors that were trying to kill off the strat bomber did manage to get a tiny bit of damage done, but now the strat bomber's flying into a massive horde of interceptors, but they turn around! No, Gingerbread Man! He gifted it to you! Resistance even in chat saying XD! He knows that this bomber should be dead, but it's not! And now the bomber looking to get away scot-free and possibly wreak havoc
on some mass extractors or even go after a power generator, but he needs to be quick. As I said, the moment that this is finished, we will be seeing ASF, and ASF will be a massive issue to contend with. We do have the first bombs from this strat bomber being dropped, and it does look like it's going to grab 2 T2 mexes. That's very painful for KAVAT. And let's see what else is going to happen. We do have another bomb dropping over here. Is it going to be enough to kill off the power generator? It does not seem so, but he's going to have to keep it moving. He cannot circle around one thing and keep bombing it. So here we go. We have another bomb ground targeted once again, killing off 2 more T2 mexes, and this is a ton of damage. Bomber already at 1 veterancy, and is now picking off yet another mechs and half-healthing a T2 land HQ. I don't know how much a T2 land HQ is going to do for for BLACKROCK. That might have been a little bit of a mistake, honestly. It seems like it would be a very low return on an investment. Considering how far away he is from his opponents, he'd have to basically just do drops. We do have a naval push out from Zlo, but there is T2 Navy here. Of course, these are indeed UEF cruisers, so they don't pose much threat to these frigates, but here soon you could be seeing destroyers, and that could be a massive issue. Strategic bomber sitting on 33 kills and 10k mass killed, and now it's going to kill off yet another mass extractor. This has gotten so much value for Team 2 that even if it dies now, it's kind of a moot point. You've lost so much for this that there's not really much that's gonna really upset you about losing that. So a very successful strat bomber out from Team 2, out from Resistance. Microed very well, except for that time he flew it into a bunch of Gingerbread's interceptors, but hey, Gingerbreadman kind of out microed himself there by turning around. Either way, this puts us in an interesting situation now where Team 2 is massively ahead on both generated and total mass. About 20,000 ahead on total mass, and as far as generated goes, I know that this isn't super reliable since the scoreboard hasn't been updated. The Supreme Scoreboard mod hasn't been updated in a while, but it is definitely somewhere in the range of 100 mass per second more for Team 2. That is exceptionally significant. We do seemingly have a little bit of a push out from KAVAT against this stronghold that's been built up by Zlo, but he doesn't have superior numbers, so I don't see how him pushing into this would work, especially with some T2 gunships out over here. It's looking a little bit desperate for Team 2 or Team 1 in every sense except for the Navy. They have the Navy on lock. They could probably do themselves a lot of good by just simply pushing Navy hard right now, try and get some economic damage done with your naval power. Of course, all of the Navy for Team 1 is coming out of BLACKROCK, really. There's not much coming out from anybody else. Here in the middle, it looks like Natron was never fully ousted. Like, you still see the original factories over here, and he's starting to encroach on and push out Gingerbreadman, who does have T2 down here, and his HQ is here. So are we going to see a reverse? Last game, they were killing off all of the HQs of their enemies, but this game, they may be losing the first HQ of the game. If that happens, it would indeed be devastating, but it does look like there's a chance he could hold for now. We are getting out some hoplites, we're getting out some rhinos, so it's very likely that these units can manage to just stay alive for a little bit longer and keep this base alive. And if he can do that, he does have a tech advantage. He could start pumping out some T2 engineers. If you don't feel confident on pushing on this position with your land units, you can just build some artillery, and they don't really have a good answer to that. Just build a couple T2 artillery and this will slowly die by itself. Of course, that is a very expensive investment, so you'd have to probably build a shield or something, keep them from just being killed off by air. These units getting in here around back, killing off a mass extractor and a T1 anti-air. but they're going to be dealt with relatively soon. We do have another gunship out there trying really hard to get rid of this HQ with all of these artillery and possibly even more gunship action, but it's looking like the HQ may just barely survive. We're seeing more rhinos being produced. We only have 2 flak left. If those get killed, that's going to be very painful, but more and more units just streaming up here from Natron. But while this is going on, Natron's base is being assaulted by this T2 fleet out from BLACKROCK, and honestly, I'm not seeing what Zlo has at the moment. He still doesn't have T2 on the field, so Zlo in somewhat of a bad position to deal with this T2 Navy. You have Coopers and destroyers out, and those will just blap away at these along with the frigates out from BLACKROCK. So this Navy is starting to be effective, is starting to affect the map, and we do have Zooey spam coming out from KAVAT to try and help his ally. And we're hitting a little bit of a lull. This middle island is looking to be ousted for Natron. He did have a very good push up here. It did look like it was going his way temporarily there, but it is looking like he is going to lose this due to Navy and less tech on the field. He did build his T2 T2 land HQ up here, and he is getting out some engineers for that, but that's gonna be a little bit too late, as now cruiser fire is being targeted onto that facility, and it is going to be going down momentarily. And he's only gonna have a Rhino and maybe a couple of T2 engineers out to show for it. You do have engineers walking to their graves, which is always fun to see. And the T2 units for Gingerbreadman just keep on showing up. There's more and more of them each second. Keep on getting more and more of them, and you know, eventually it's a overwhelming situation. And now that the T2 land HQ is dead for Natron, I think that pretty firmly solidifies the middle island for Team 1. Whereas this western flank, which I don't know if it has more mass extractors. I think there's 8 on this island and 2 hydros. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's probably more than I'm missing. There's 6 or 7, maybe 8 mass extractors out over here on this side, but that's all held by Zlo pretty convincingly. And now we have Zlo producing T3 air alongside Resistance, and on Team 1, it looks like it's just non-nerd power producing T3 air. We do have a T2 air facility over here, and it does look like KAVAT is eventually working his way over to it, but Zlo has such an advantage with having all of these mass extractors, and most of them seemingly upgraded to T2, at least the ones on his half of the island, or of the peninsula, that he seems to have a rather commanding mass lead. Let's go ahead and just check in on the ecos for what it's worth. We have 190 for Zlo, Jaden W sitting at 133, Resistance at 88, and about 16... oh, wait, nope. I'm just going to call it 69 for Natron, versus Non-Nerd Power on 105, BLACKROCK on 85, Gingerbreadman on 57, and KAVAT on 81. And as we can see, the mass totals have just skyrocketed even further in favor of Team 2. Team 2 ecoing so much better while also maintaining a relatively good map state. They are currently almost about to crest the 100,000 mark for their opponents, currently sitting somewhere around 70 to 80k more mass accrued this game than their opponents. And we have torp bombers now coming out from Zlo along with his T1 frigate spam. He has finally gotten some T2 up and he's producing destroyers, but the fact that they have air control also just means that they can produce torp bombers for days and cause massive issues. Torp bombers coming out from Zlo and coming out from Jaden. Or not Jaden, sorry, I looked at an ASF. Jaden W also producing ASF. No, it was out from Natron. Natron, the only player on his team. Nope, he also has T3 air. Every player on Team 2 has T3 air. And it looks like we just now got T3 air for Gingerbreadman, and we're working on it for KAVAT. What about you? What are you doing over here, BLACKROCK? I know you're throwing a lot into the Navy, so I'm not 100% sure if getting T3 air is even on your mind, but with 3 players making T3 air, I'm sure that they can at least somewhat keep up in numbers. Does not seem like Natron is putting very like a ton of amount of work into T3 air production currently. And as BLACKROCK's forces are pushed back to his factories, we have to wonder if he's going to be able to even stay in the Navy much longer. This could be very dangerous for him. He could be losing quite a bit right here. Team 1 could be ousted from the sea. The torpedo bombers seemingly petering out over here. We don't have quite as many as we once did. There are still a few, so this is still very dangerous, and there's a lot of frigates over here to just absolutely wail on these factories. So you have to, if you're Team 1, you're hoping that somehow BLACKROCK can just pull off a miraculous hold against this, because it's looking pretty deadly. But then again, you do have that defender's advantage of your units get to kind of focus fire by themselves, because the units that come in range first are the ones that they will fire at. And we do have torp defense being queued up here by BLACKROCK. He's going to try and just get that tiny bit of advantage with these engineers, but these engineers are being picked off, probably being target fired off by this frigate. This one frigate's doing all the work as far as that's concerned. And this is a dangerous situation for BLACKROCK, and I don't know if he's even going to be able to survive this, because say he defends off this wave, we have another wave here, and then we have our first wave featuring T2 units over here, so it's just going to be a multiplying factor if he does not manage to just absolutely destroy all of these frigates in a pretty convincing fashion and then have time to rebuild. He's going to be in a very difficult situation and most likely unable to hold. We do have interceptors fighting over the base of Gingerbreadman, or ASF fighting over the base of Gingerbreadman, and Team 1 is just, they're now completely out-teched, outgunned, outmaneuvered on almost every side of it. In the middle is the only kind of saving grace for them, and they're only holding that tentatively because there's now Navy to contend with. And it's a very unfortunate situation. We do have Laser coming out from Non-Nerd Power, taking a cue out of Mimic's book, and is going to attempt a Telemazer play. But I honestly don't know how effective that will be, considering all 4 comms for Team 2 is in the water. They is in the water. They pretty aware of their situation, so they's in the water and they spread out a whole bunch. They're like, well, you know, we have this game in the bag unless we get sniped, so everybody get in the water, and a torp snipe's not going to happen because we have an overwhelmingly difficult to overcome air advantage at the moment. So right now the ball is really in Team 2's hands. It is their game to lose. They've done everything up to this point to make sure that they are in a position to just absolutely hammer in a death throw. Absolutely get that death blow in, just destroy your opponents. So all you have to do from here is close out the game. And we're seeing that Team 1 is currently switching to desperation mode. It looks like we have multiple players attempting some form of teleport comm action. as well as just an absolute hammering is going on around the map. The only flank that's been stagnant for any amount of time is this western flank, as Low is content to not try and push, not try and force his units through a small gap. He's even walled off over here. He's walled some of his units off from the other side. So he has completely gone somewhat turtle mode, somewhat, hey, here's the line, dare you to cross it on this flank. And we have Teleporter on the way after getting Splash on the comm for KAVAT. He is not going to go silently into the night. He and his ally, Non-Nerd Power, are both going to go for some form of teleport snipe play. Even if they do not manage the snipe, I guess you could be happy enough with just teleporting into some of these main bases which don't have any tele defense and just destroying the infrastructure, just destroying off your ability, their ability to produce units. We do have a Liberator strategic nuke launcher over here, or strategic missile launcher. I guess all nukes are kind of strategic. We have a nuke launcher out from Resistance. I don't see any other kind of game ender-y stuff coming out. We have Non-Nerd Power finishing gun speed and range and starting Teleporter. With two players getting Teleporter right now, you would have to assume that the power stalls are absolutely massive. We do have Teleporter finishing, oh no, not finishing up. That is still a T1 comm, so that's going to build very slowly. But we do have the capability for KAVAT to kind of fund Non-Nerd Power's ability to build Teleporter upgrade. If they teleport somewhere kind of coordinated, if they both go like right here and just try and single out Low maybe, or maybe they come down here and just try and single out all of this production and such, they could have a chance at getting something done. But now you have to take into account that whalers are being produced, T2 gunships everywhere. If you had T3 on one of these comms, it wouldn't be a problem, but there are constantly more and more gunships being produced, and the second you teleport in, you know that there is going to be an order to go ahead and move those gunships to attack the comm. So the desperation play is definitely dependent on time, and time is not in their favor. Every second they spend trying to get these upgrades is a second that the enemy has to prepare for exactly what's coming. And I'm sure that if we click here, we can see, oh nope, they're not using any special marker, what are they called? What are they called? It won't even let me. Marker pings is what I think they're called. Not even attempting to use those. So remember, guys, this is the grand final. This is for all of the marbles. Whoever wins this gets the grand prize, which I'm not even sure what it was, and they of course have already won it, but they are the victors of the entire tournament. So there is a lot on the line. These players are trying their absolute best, I guarantee it. And we can see that Teleporter is about to finish up for Non-Nerd Power. It is just finished, and KAVAT is now about 80% done on his upgrade. We can see Gingerbreadman also going for gun speed and range. Are we possibly going to see a 4-comm attempt at a just absolute ridiculous amount of running around in... It would be ridiculous to see 4 comms teleport to one place, and I want to see that. go ahead and speed it up as things have seemingly... Ooh, never mind. Don't speed it up. Where is this nuke going? This nuke is going for non-nerd power. Oh no, we have teleporter done for KAVAT, and we have gun speed and range done for Gingerbreadman. They don't know where the nuke is going, but now that they have teleporter on at least 2 comms, they can attempt some form of coordinated teleportation assassination. I don't think they would actually be able to assassinate anybody, but they could definitely attempt something like that. Zlo is currently building up an interesting form of defense. He's like, well, if I need to, I can just walk outside and get onto this, get under this shield generator unit. But we do have torpedoes starting on both of the comms, so they have figured out where the enemy's comms are, and that could be very dangerous. 2 torpedo comms can do a lot of damage. But is it enough now that they're being nuked? It doesn't look like anybody's building anti-nuke, so unless you kill off resistance, you really are having a bad day. I'd like to see them coordinate it in a way... Well, no, they can have torpedo and laser, can't they? Or can they not? Because it's torpedo or gun, and it's T2 or laser, right? Right? I'm not going crazy. Let me select your comm. Upgrades. Okay. Gun or T2? Oh, it's laser or... Oh, no. Okay, so the problem here is if they attempt to leave the water, once they get out of the water, you have a comm that doesn't do anything. So I would have liked to see a more coordinated play where one goes maser, one goes orb. But I guess their hope is they teleport on possibly Natron and just kill him with a torpedo. I don't think he'd have enough time to run to land before the torpedoes kill him. But then they're going to have torp bombers. And once they start getting torp bombed, they're going to have to get out of the water and go into the loving arms of the gunships. So... we're in a very, very much so. This is a check situation. If you were playing chess, as I said, I think in the last game, this would be check. And it's very close to checkmate, but it isn't quite there yet. We're in a very... it's a very delicate situation, to be honest. Alright. We have to see the teleports now. Everybody needs to start teleporting at the same time. Non-nerd power, why don't you have teleporter? Non-nerd power, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Wait, you have teleporter? Is that a visual bug? He doesn't have the backpack upgrade. What? Yeah, what? That's the most trippy shit. He doesn't have the backpack upgrade for teleporter. Okay, apparently Gingerbreadman has changed his mind on having gun and is going for T3, so they're going for some they're spending a lot of time on upgrades, like a ridiculous amount of time on upgrades. Zlo's comm has moved. Where is Zlo's comm? Did Zlo move? Zlo moved his comm back into his base. Oh, yeah, and now he's building 1,000 Cerberus turrets. So, that is an option. Oh, they could be jumping into the water right here. Okay, okay. They're both teleporting over here. What about you? What about you? Are you teleporting? We have 3 teleports on the way, and all of them are going somewhere near the water in some way, shape, or form. Natron is definitely the most likely to be scalped here. Gingerbreadman, the first to spawn. We do not have stealth on Natron, so this could be dangerous. And oh my lord, that's not going to do anything. He's too far underwater. Natron is going to start losing health relatively quickly, but we don't see the comm of Gingerbreadman control Kate apparently. KAVAT is going to die here, and this is a very interesting situation. Oh my word. Oh my word, this is... Oh man, this is beautiful. I love it. Alright, everybody's died. Everybody is dead. BLACKROCK even managing to die all the way over here, the only one deciding not to teleport with his homies. And with that, the winners of our Map Gen Tourney are of the SCR clan. It is Zlo, Resistance, Jaden W, and Natron. 4 players who won it all here today. Actually, this happened a few weeks ago. Either way, if you enjoyed this megacast and you want to see a bunch more FAF content, you want to see more faffing about, possibly check out my Patreon or subscribe and like, or just share the video. That's honestly the best way to get to support my channel is just share, watch and share. If you watch the video, you liked it, you're all the way here at the end, and you just say, hey, I think my friend would like this, send it to your friend. Or don't. Either way, you're dope, you're beautiful, have a good one.